Hello everyone, it's Deathstalker here again. Welcome back from the video. Today we are on standard mode and I am looking at Deathrattle Hunter. Now Deathrattle effect, that has to be my favourite effect in all of Hearthstone. I've played Hearthstone for years now and nothing beats a good Deathrattle deck. And Deathrattle Hunter is certainly fun to play and that's what we're going to be looking at today, comparing two different decks. Now this is a deck here that I played at the start of the Boomsday expansion, and you know, Devilsaur Egg and Mechanical Whelp are probably the two key Deathrattle cards in this deck. Spider Bomb is also in the deck too. The deck is pretty cool in that if you get your Devilsaur Egg down early and then you have a whole host of Deathrattle activators, you can get a massive board presence down early and pretty much end the game with 5/5 Devilsaurs hitting face. The issue with this deck, Mechanical Whelp, it costs 6 and you're paying 6 for a 2/2. Now, if you don't have Deathrattle activators to play on the same turn or on the following turn, it can feel like a pretty average investment of your mana, because of course when the 2/2 dies you get a 7/7, but that initial investment of 6 mana for a 2/2 body doesn't feel great unless you can activate that Deathrattle immediately or even repeatedly. But this deck worked quite well for me. You know, you do have the opportunity to overwhelm your opponents early, and of course Deathstalker Rexxar in this deck, who is in my opinion the MVP card of any hunter deck that is out there at the moment on the standard mode ladder, or even maybe even the wild mode ladder for that matter, because the value you get is insane. Having a look at a quick game here. And this is an odd rogue, and you know, it's turn 6 and I'm nearly dead. Why shouldn't that surprise anyone? But the recovery potential of this deck is quite incredible, because once you can get some stuff down on the board and even taunt it up, the odd rogue is gonna struggle. He doesn't have a board, and pretty much he's gonna struggle to kill me. So I cubed Houndmaster Shaw, which was interesting. It was a bit of a desperation cube, I guess. I needed something to cube, and Shaw was on the board, and he was nearly dead. And so, okay, let's cube him. So the rogue now investing quite a lot into you know, into dealing with my board, which means my face is safe. So Fireworks Tech not really getting the value that I would have hoped for there. You know, we were not activating it on a Mechanical Whelp, so that feels kind of bad. But it's fine. It's buffed up our mech on board, and we've got a healing effect, so that's pretty decent. Both cards in my hand, Play Dead and the Stalker, pretty much useless at this point. They don't do anything unless I draw a Deathrattle minion next turn. But turns out that just this board alone is enough to win the game. Feels pretty good. Okay. The next deck that I started playing was Jab's Hunter deck. Jab being a pro player who seems to be especially good at playing Hunter. Now, this deck here is very different actually to the previous deck that we featured. Okay, it still features the Devilsaur Egg. It still features Spider Bomb. However, the late game selection of minions is really quite different. There is no Mechanical Whelp. Instead, you've got the likes of Savannah Highmane. You have Katrina Winterwisp, and you have double Witchwood Grizzly. Now, with this deck, Katrina into a Witchwood Grizzly, Katrina dying into another Witchwood Grizzly being put on the board is pretty insane, because a full health Witchwood Grizzly coming down pretty much stops aggro decks in their tracks, and really just gives you a chance to stabilise. We've still got Devilsaur Egg in this deck, so you're still hoping for that start with Play Dead and Devilsaur Egg, or Devilsaur Egg, Terrascale Stalker. But as I say, that late game is quite different. King Krush also in this deck, synergizing very nicely with Carnivorous Cube. So King Krush, Carnivorous Cube, and Play Dead is pretty insane, if I must say so. So we've, I've had a lot more fun and luck with this deck than with the previous deck. I find that playing Katrina has, on turn 8, has a massive impact on the games that I'm playing. And a massive impact on the board state. Whereas with the previous deck, I was sort of limited to this mechanical whelp, which without any Deathrattle activators didn't do anything. Katrina doesn't need a Deathrattle activator. She has a battle cry in itself, which is pretty awesome. Sure, you can apply Play Dead to her afterwards, you can apply Terrascale Stalker to her afterwards, but often it's not needed. Just that initial battle cry alone is significant and substantial enough to potentially swing a game there and then, particularly if it puts the Witchwood Grizzly out and you're facing down an opponent's board full of small aggressive minions. Okay, let's look at a few examples of this deck in action. Now, the mulligan's always tricky. If I keep the Devilsaur Egg, I really then want to see Play Dead, right? The danger is that you keep the egg and, yeah, you draw a King Krush, which is ridiculous.
None will survive.
So without the activators, the egg becomes a bit of a dead card.
The light protects me.
And an odd rogue playing Argent Squire would potentially suggest that he plays Blood Knight. So trying to get rid of that Divine Shield becomes a bit of a priority. Although having Deathstalker Rexxar in hand for turn 6 does give me a little bit of reassurance. The 2 damage AoE that he does is pretty significant. Can clear boards, depending on the board states, obviously. Okay, no Blood Knight. Feels amazing. And now we play the egg, and we've got no way of triggering that Deathrattle. Or, well, no easy way of triggering that Deathrattle. We do have Flanking Strike, but I suppose I want to use Flanking Strike on his minions, not mine. Quite a few of the opponents that I've been facing with this deck, they go out of their way to kill the Deathrattle minion. Because they want to stop me triggering those Deathrattle effects. But he's ignoring the egg. He's just going face. So that's going to allow me now to play the Terrascale Stalker to get some value. But we're in dire straits here. He has an incredible amount of damage coming into my face. I'm going to assume that he's going to go all face. Because he has mushroom power. Yeah, when you have mushroom power, you ignore the board and you go face. So we're at 3. But Deathstalker Rexxar here can really help with our recovery. We go up to 8. And thank God for this weapon. We're now trying to put ourselves back into this game. We have Katrina for 8, so hopefully we can get a Grizzly down on the board, which will protect our face. There's also the possibility of discovering a zombie beast that can do some healing for us. Well, that's interesting. Not sure what that secret is.
My pack will hunt you down.
It's freezing trap. Yeah. Happy to take an ooze back to hand. Very, very happy to have an ooze back to hand. So we know with the ooze we've got a little bit of armor gain potentially. And he'll think twice now about buffing up his weapon with deadly poison because he knows I've got an ooze. Wow, this guy is truly a masterful hunter. He got a secret and he got a flare. Pretty amazing. Okay, so I think it's probably time for Katrina. And we'll see what we get. And there it is. There's a grizzly. So we could have ended up with a high main. There is one copy, I think, of high main in this deck. Would that have been problematic? I mean, it would have been a charging high main. But we feel much, much safer with this taunt on the board. Yeah, a haha is not going to cut it here. Even Fungal Mancer here, not enough to break through that taunt. Feels pretty amazing. Wow. So the recovery potential of this deck is quite significant.
Shall bring victory.
Alright.
Let the hunt
Going up against a priest. So I'm keeping the Terrascale Stalker. In the hopes, it was in the hopes of getting Devil's Saw Egg. We have the Spider Bomb. Maybe that'll do something. But regardless, it's relatively slow start for us. And hopefully a relatively slow start for him. No, he had a 2-drop. That's unfortunate. Wow, hero power pass. Feels bad. If we're really desperate next turn, we can coin out the flanking strike, but don't know if that's worthwhile or not. Oh, we've got 2 flanking strikes now, so yeah, coining one out seems fine. At the very least, a 3-3 contests a 2-3. It's not too bad. Wow. This guy is a Deathrattle centric, Deathrattle heavy, with 2 draw-based cards on the board. I can only assume that he's trying to draw into his deck as quickly as possible. Draw through his deck as quickly as possible.
Astounding.
King Krush, always showing up at the worst possible times. So, is this a Mechathune priest? Wow. Really, really wants to draw through his deck. So this has to be some kind of a Mechathune combo priest. We need to kill him then before he kills us. And at the rate at which he's drawing through his deck, that's going to be quite soon. So we need to be a bit more proactive here. Wow, more draw there from Thalnos. Two cards drawn. Now, I'd really like to ignore Blood Mage Thalnos, force him to make the trade, because I don't want to give him another card straight off, but Thalnos has spell damage, so we need to get rid of it. And he would have traded it off anyway, I guess, into the Neutron. So if you're a Mechathune deck, what do? You stall for time. Psychic Scream, doing a great job at stalling there. I need to put a bit more pressure on. He's at 28 health. That's really, really bad for me at this stage of the game. I talked earlier about this deck's ability to swarm the board early. We haven't managed to do that. And now he's just thinned his deck out, and we're in serious trouble.
Still have cards.
He buffs the egg. That's really, really interesting. I guess he wants to keep the egg as healthy as possible, so I have a reduced chance of triggering that death rattle if I find a way to trade it in. Killing the 6/6 seems sensible. I could have triggered the death rattle on the egg to get a Devil Saw, but no, that seems fine. He's out of cards, and if he's playing Mechathune, are we just dead? Is the question. So if he's playing a Mechathune deck, he has to get rid of the relevant cards from his hand first. He's got rid of the cards from his deck, but he has to get rid of the relevant cards from his hand first. Then, when all those cards are done for, he then plays his combo. Brings out Mechathune on the board, it dies, and we lose. There are 5 cards in his hand. This is pretty scary. But play dead. This just wins us the game. It's pretty amazing. Ah, he knew what was coming. So, were we dead next turn? I don't recall what the combo pieces are, but maybe we were dead next turn. Okay, next little game is against a rogue. Double tracking in hand. What a great way to thin out your deck. Well, maybe we'll find Deathstalker Rexxar. Maybe that'll make up for it. Happy to float 1 mana here. Oh dear lord. Ugh. Losing King Krush feels terrible, but Spider Bomb is something I can interact with early, and I've got activators in my hand for it. But yeah, happy to float 1 mana here, just to look for cards. His start is very, very slow. Not entirely sure what kind of a deck he's playing at this juncture. Just need him to play a substantial minion. Play something reasonable. Oh god, Necrian Blade. Okay. Deathrattle Rogue, potentially. So, the ooze here coming in handy. Disrupting his Deathrattle strategy, potentially. So, Houndmaster Shaw needs to be dealt with. Because if he's not dealt with, there's going to be a high main coming down very shortly that's going to rush into whatever he plays. Oh, doesn't actually play a minion. Looking at the spells that he's been playing so far, my assumption is that this guy is playing Malygos in his deck. And that very soon, we're going to die to a volley of spells via Malygos. So, we need to kill him as quickly as possible. In the previous game, we were able to kill that priest before he got off whatever combo it is he was going to pull off. I think it was likely Mechathune that was going to come down. So it's the same situation here. We need to kill this guy before we die to Malygos or whatever it is that he has. So the sap delayed some damage for one turn, but we just play the high main right back again. And there is a rule in Hearthstone, it's known as the Amaz rule, because Amaz made this up a few years back. If you play a high main, and then you connect face with it the following turn, you win the game. That was back when high main was such an impactful card. But yes, no opportunities to connect with the face there. Vanish doing some good work for him, but look, we're keeping the pressure up. And this is why I love Katrina in this deck. Getting a 3/12 Grizzly out is phenomenal, right? Look at the stats on this board. I paid 8 mana for Katrina, got a 6/6 with a Deathrattle and a 3/12. That's insane. And I'm going to hold back on Play Dead here. I could cast Play Dead on Katrina, get another 3/12 out. No, I'm just going to hold off for the time being. I value comboing my Play Dead with the Spider Bomb, depending on what he plays. But I suspect there aren't going to be many minions coming down from him. It looks like he's pretty much a spell-heavy deck.
Death's shadow grows.
However, he has to deal with this board. Or at least take out both the 6/6 and the 6/5. A Vanish, potentially a way of doing that. Leaves 2 hyenas down. Oh my goodness. Another Vanish. Okay. Well. Don't really care about Keleseth at this stage of the game. And we're pretty much right where we started. Kind of. 6/6 and a 3/12 on board. He has to get rid of both of those all over again. Deathstalker Rexxar in hand, potentially. It could be good next turn, maybe. Maybe we can start discovering some beasts that do a bit more damage. Just go wide on the board.
Death's shadow grows.
Because the spider bombs are sort of the dead cards at the moment. There are no minions on board for them to kill off. So what else am I doing is the question, if I'm not playing Deathstalker Rexxar. Houndmaster Shaw could come down potentially. It's really investing an awful lot here in trying to clear my board. Look at how much damage that Grizzly has soaked up. That's pretty good. So finally, we get to use our Stalker, and I'm just going super wide here. Saving that Play Dead again, just in case it's needed. Maybe he plays his taunt or two and we've got to get through it with the Play Dead and the Spider Bomb. Very unlikely though. So it is lethal on board. There's very little he can do here. We've seen Vanishers being played. We've seen Sap. And I can't help but feel that these eviscerates that we've been seeing were meant for my face with a Malygos. So, if he's investing these spells, like Razor Petal, that was certainly intended for my face with Malygos, right? But at least I'm assuming it's a Malygos deck. Because we've seen Necrium Blade, which is played in Deathrattle decks. I've seen Shiny Finder. Oh well. Alright. Next little game is against a warrior. So far, you know, we've done a pretty good job. We've beaten rogues, we've beaten a priest. A warrior at this rank, with Baku, and now with Tank Up. So, what's the difficulty here? Tank Up is the issue. He can armour up some more, keep armouring up, and all of a sudden it becomes very difficult to kill him. He'll have board clear effects, he'll have brawls, and if he times them correctly, he can do a good job of dealing with our big threats, dealing with the devil saws that come out of the eggs, dealing with the big beasts that come down. Timing his board clears, his removal in a good manner means that he can potentially outlast us. The saving grace, however, in this deck is Rexxar. Deathstalker Rexxar. If we can get Deathstalker Rexxar in good time, start building up zombie beasts, putting down those threats on the board, we can outlast him, because he will eventually run out of removal. So, test the waters here with a 5/5 Devil Saw. What does he have? How does he kill it? How does he remove it?
What now?
I'm going to assume there's a shield slam in the future for this Devil Saw. Yeah, there it is. Well, I have the Terrascale Stalker. I have Play Dead. You've used a shield slam. How are you going to kill 2 Devil Saws? So, temporary roadblock there. Doesn't kill my Devil Saws though. So, we break our way through these Annoytrons. Actually prevented an awful lot of damage to his face. Such a good card. But now we have 3 Devil Saws on the board. Deal with that. Ooh. So I played right into my control tag, and he's got the Iron Beak Owl. That's so annoying. Yeah, that was bad of me. I should have been more careful regarding the mind control tech. Although there is an argument to state that you can't afford to play around the mind control tech. I have to be the aggressor in this game because of that tank up. I have to hit him consistently and constantly and do as much damage as I can. Otherwise, as I said earlier, we run into that danger where he just tanks up out of range and there's nothing I can do. So we'll see if he's got a second mind control tech. What are the chances? Either way, I'm running out of things to do from my hand. I've exhausted these Deathrattle activators. And now we're in a spot of trouble. Careless Earth is fine, I guess.
My pack will hunt through
least we know that our Grizzlies, our Highmane, our Katrina, at least we know they're going to get buffed. Okay, 3 minions on board here. Playing around mind control tech, because we're good at this game. Houndmaster Shaw it essentially has passive taunt on it, right? Everyone targets Shaw, everyone realises the need to kill it. I suspect that he will extend into killing it here. We've seen one shield slam. Okay, Super Collider. That's actually a really good card. Doesn't kill Shaw though, and say goodbye to your Super Collider. Okay, now we're not playing around mind control tech. But I don't think it matters. It's his turn 9 and he's nearly dead. He wants to invest 1 mana in stealing a minion, fair enough. Okay, just about surviving there with his Reckless Flurry. But we just keep the pressure up. And this is where weaving in that 2 damage hero power matters an awful lot. Sure, his tank up is 4 armour, our hero power is only 2 damage, but you know, it's still good, it still keeps the pressure on him, it still gives him a sense of urgency in terms of needing to stabilise. So yeah, pressing the button every turn is very important. Okay. Hunter's Mark. Happy to use the Hunter's Mark here. I'm going to keep the Spider Bomb in hand for something bigger that comes down. So we have 7 damage that we can do next turn, including hero power. Okay, make that 4 damage. Just for the sake of developing pressure, I know that 3-4 is not a substantial threat, but just for the sake of putting pressure down on the board, putting bodies down, we are playing Spider Bomb and we are playing Stalker. But if he's able to remove this board, then we are out of options. We're out of threats. We've just got this Hunter's Mark in hand that isn't going to do anything. Let's see what he's got. Oh. He's hoping his ooze survives the brawl. Oh, very unlucky. And that is precise lethal from us. Feels amazing. Alright. This next little highlight is against a Dragon Priest. Now, perfect counter to King Krush there. Putting our Krush down to 2 attack. Really, really annoying. But it's okay, because when I look at my hand, I see a cube, and I see a Stalker. So I see an opportunity to get insane King Krush value. The question is, when do you want to trigger it? I have all the mana in the world, I have 10 mana. It's just a question of timing, right? Our lowly 0-1 taunt there, protecting King Krush. As long as he doesn't kill King Krush, he can do whatever the hell he wants. So I suppose, like, it's time, I guess, to pull the trigger. I was thinking about whether I could get any trades in beforehand, but not really. But there we go. Double King Krush. Feels amazing. And yes, when you have the King Krush on the board, ignore the minion, go face. 8 to the face is too much to pass up. And I'm really into these charge effects here. Thinking to myself, okay, we've got him on the ropes here. Every last bit of damage that we can do to his face matters. Shadow Reaper Anduin gets rid of both King Krushes, but there's still a lot of damage on my board that's coming his way. And with the armour, he's at 30 health. But when you can make plays like this, double King Krush again, it's actually game over. Because we have the charging beetle. And that's actually all it takes. So dead from 30 health, including armour, feels amazing. Okay, let's look at our final game of the day. And this is for rank 2. So, if there was ever any doubt, yes, this deck is strong, it's effective, and we're facing an odd rogue. And we have the Devil's Saw Egg in hand, just no easy ways to activate it. So this looks like a familiar start. He's got the Argent Squire down.
Glory to the Sindori.
Oh dear, and he is the Blood Knight. And this is interesting. Compare this game to the previous Odd Rogue game in this video, and you'll notice that my previous opponent ignored the egg, didn't care for it, just kept hitting face. This rogue, well, he wants to prevent me from triggering further death rattles on the egg, so he decided to deal with it. Now, you saw me trade with his minion there rather than pushing 5 to the face. I guess what I'm afraid of is the likes of Cold Blood, so I don't want to leave minions on board. I'm not in any particular rush here to beat him down. Because I have Deathstalker Rexxar, I can win the long game, I can win the value game. I think I have to be more concerned here with protecting my face. Actually gets a spider bomb. Wow. Okay, so on that note, we can play the Devil's Saw Egg, hoping that the spider bomb's death rattle triggers and kills the egg, but I think this is much better. I think this is much, much better. Getting 2 Grizzlies at full health back on the board, yeah, is going to stop an aggro deck in its tracks. And there we go. That's rank 2. Feels pretty amazing. Okay, so Jab's Hunter deck. It's a deck that's got me to rank 2. I can't argue with its effectiveness. I think the late game in this deck with Katrina into Witchwood Grizzly is significant and a massive, it provides the chance for a massive board swing or tempo swing. The previous deck that I played had the Mechanical Whelp, which was fine if you had Deathrattle effects to go with it, but on its own wasn't especially great. Whereas playing Katrina for 8 gives you a substantial body on board and triggers that battle cry, which puts another significant body on board. So I think Katrina is far more impactful, and I like this late game. I like the inclusion of one Savannah Highmane. I like the inclusion of King Krush. So to me, the late game in the Jab deck is much more significant than the late game in the deck that I showcased at the start of the video. Double Giggling Inventor in this deck is something that is not to be underestimated. Quite often you're looking to stall with this deck because you may have some eggs in hand but no way of sort of activating them. So your opponent can be playing stuff on board and just constantly beating you down, but a couple of Giggling Inventors that come down the board can be enough to stall the game for a significant amount of time, allowing you to find your play deads, your Terrascale Stalkers, and then all of a sudden, on let's say turn 10, you play an egg, you play a couple of play deads, you play a Stalker, and then all of a sudden you have this substantial board presence. And finally, just a comment on Deathstalker Rexxar. We didn't really get an opportunity to see him do anything substantial in this video today, but there's been plenty of games where he's just been so amazing for me, and really and truly has become my favourite hunter card now. The value that you get from him is just insane, and as a card alone, he can just be game winning, especially if you're heading into fatigue against other control decks. So thank you very much for joining me, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We will be back to wild mode for our next video, so this was just a little diversion into standard because I enjoy playing standard as well. What's interesting is at this point I am further ahead on standard than I am on wild. I'm rank 2 on standard, whereas on wild I'm rank 3 and I think like 4 stars. So close to rank 2 but not quite there. So thank you very much for joining me, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys all again very soon for more Hearthstone fun.